movie fans, welcome to Cold and Trash Horror Movie Grind the Podcast. I am your host Ian. This is the show in which we grind on the absolute worst horror and sci-fi movies we can find and make fun of just how bad they are, as well as praise the good, cool classics that have been lost throughout time. Now get ready because we're about to dive real deep inside of Hollywood's dumpster in search of the good, the so bad it's good, and the fucking ugly. Now put on your seatbelt, grab a beer or two, and enjoy the show. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Coming back at you with another one. This is Cold and Trash Horror Movie Grind, and I am Ian, as always. And today we will be discussing the entire franchise of Children of the Corn, and we will be ranking them from worst to best. I have only seen the first one, but fret not, my friends. I've got a friend who has, and he will be ranking all of them. I bring you the same guy who ranked all the Howling movies. Dustin's back. Welcome back.
What's happening, my man?
What's up? It looks
you having a great day?
You're in a cornfield yourself.
Oh, yeah, man. It's harvest season. Yeah, so corn is happening all over the place. It's been a madhouse here, but today we're going to do it right. We're going to teach the care, propagation, and the season of corn, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's right. This is your corn stalk is crap with Dustin.
But yeah, anyway, obviously that was a joke. But we're going to be doing Children of the Corn for the past 3 days now. Every day when my kids come home, they're like, will you do something with this? I'm like, I can't. Got Corn on the Cob flicks I got to watch, man. I'll hit me up Friday. So that's tomorrow. But yeah, I have seen all of them. And I do want to say, anyone who hops in here, hey, don't be scared to say hi to us. Drop in. Tell us what your favorite Children of the Corn movie was.
That's right.
Or what franchise you'd like us to do. Hit that like button before you bail, too. If you're going to press play and bail, just hit the like button. Do us a favor. Do us a solid. Come on, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody watching, how do you rank the Children of the Corn movies? Is the first one your best, or your favorite, or do you like one better than that? I guess we'll go ahead and get started and talk about Children of the Corn itself. So this is a Stephen King adaptation.
Right, it's a short story. It's really short. It's only 16 pages long.
Oh, really?
And they made a movie. I felt they did it right. Stephen King wasn't happy, but he wasn't happy with a lot of the projects that happened in the early mid 80s.
Yes, I heard that he originally wrote the screenplay, and the producers were like, "We can't do anything with this. This is bullshit." And he said, so they got somebody else to write the script,
Right.
which he was unhappy with. And he said, "You don't understand how horror works." And then they were like, "You don't understand."
He
how
did say that. I read that quote too.
They're like, "Stephen King, you don't understand how movies work. We can't make a movie like this." And it would be pretty cool if they did. Apparently, they did do a short film that was much closer to the book.
Right. The movie also doesn't take place in the same time frame as the book. It takes place in 1975. But yeah, I mean, if you want to get specific, Stephen King was narrowed in on a conversation that was supposed to happen between the two protagonists. And it was like 3 pages long out of a 16-page book. And that's where their new screenwriter was like, we're not putting that in. It's already short as it is. Why add in 30 minutes of dialogue?
Yeah. Now, apparently, it started out with you don't see the kids like killing everybody. It starts out with the two couple driving, and then they hit the kid. And I kind of like that beginning better. I kind of wish they had started that way.
Oh, I love it, man. You should watch the 2009 remake. It really gives it justice. Actually, the only one that I think was closer to the book, actually.
I heard it
quite enjoyable.
Okay, cool. Cool. We'll get into that in a little bit. Also, apparently in the book, they're like on the brink of divorce, and they're just like fighting the entire time. I thought that would be pretty cool, but that's not really like what movies were about in the 80s. They didn't really show
Right.
that.
I mean, the movie centers around a demon, specifically a demonic fertility spirit. It has the power to conceive mortals, and they use manipulation and lies and promises to lure people in to do their bidding. Did you, when you were reading about it, did you read how also it's connected to this demon is connected to Randall Flagg from The Stand?
No, but I have heard that like all of his characters are connected in some way
Yeah,
or
they're
another.
all intertwined somehow.
Yeah.
If since we're like talking about that as a whole, don't look at these movies as like sequel to sequel to sequel. They're all Children of the Corn movies that take place in Nebraska, and the demon literally resides in the corn, luring children off and
So
having them do bad things or
so
terrible
they're
things.
not really that well connected to each other.
Right.
Now there are 9 sequels to the first, or I guess maybe 8 sequels. There's 10 movies altogether, and that's the most sequels in a Stephen King story.
Right. And if anyone's wondering why, because I'm going to go ahead and say this: these movies, half of them are trash, but
Only
half
half.
of them are identified as so good they're so bad they're good. But people keep watching them regardless of how terrible. I mean, if you go on to IMDb, I don't think any of them have a rating of over 3, but they keep making them because people keep watching them, and it's just as soon as the Children of the Corn movie comes out, everyone has to see it, even the ones that go straight to TV. So
Right.
they're gonna Dimension and Miramax are just gonna keep doing it as long as I keep watching.
So there's some that are good, some that are really bad, and some that are so bad they're good.
Right. There's
And
only
some
one I
that
would
are
say
just
is pretty
trash.
much unwatchable. It's garbage, bottom of the barrel of like any horror movie.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and find out which one is that. What is the worst movie in the entire franchise?
All right. The worst one by far is called Genesis.
I'm so hot. And not in a good way.
It shouldn't be much longer.
Hi, we both know you have a phone.
No, you want me to think it's the kid that's somehow doing all this.
You saw the tape.
I don't know what I saw.
He who walks behind the rose.
We don't even know what to watch for.
Everything. Try and stop us.
Someone in this house is psychokinetic, like off the charts.
Every single adult in Gatlin was slaughtered by children.
Oh my god, Tim, look out!
It came out in 2011, and it was produced and made by Dimension Extreme. This is when they had their new video line where they were doing Dimension Extreme horror everything.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't represent Children of the Corn in any way, shape, or form. The storyline, in a nutshell, is they tried to, because it's a reboot or remake or whatever. A couple, they're on the road, their car breaks down, and they get stuck in this person's house. Well, my problem is that they're in this house the entire time. The whole movie takes place in there, and eventually the owner traps them in, won't let them leave, and essentially nothing happens the entire film. They're just held captive in this house. One of them finds out that there is a kid in the field, and you don't find out till the very end that the kid has the demon's name is He Who Walks Behind the Rose, and that's Rose as in Rose of Cornfields, not Rose as the flower. That's its actual name. So it's possessed by that demon, and it just, man, I'm just gonna ruin it for you. It ends with her. She's pregnant, and she has to hand the baby over to him, and her husband gets killed. He's the only person who dies in the entire movie. It's terrible. I mean,
What is this,
not one
Rosemary's
person
Baby?
chunked that ear of corn at anyone and said, "Eat this," or something to make it ridiculous or fun, or it just absolutely terrible, nonsensical gibberish, and I don't even think the word corn was even mentioned in this movie. And that's like impossible because there's just nonstop corn talking. It's absolutely terrible. Hopefully you guys will get to see a quick clip of it, but I wouldn't waste your time. And that's really all I want to say about it, because I don't want to get stuck talking trash about this movie, because it'll get me talking about The Howling Part 7 and I can't go back.
Okay. Is this better or worse than The Howling Part 7?
Oh my God. It is. It's barely better. And that's only because it's better because it had a better budget. Howling Part 7, in my opinion, is the worst movie ever made known to man. And on the books, critics say Troll Part 2 are the worst. Troll Part 2 is not the worst movie. Howling Part 7 is the worst movie in history.
Troll 2 is famously bad.
Right. It's famously bad, right?
So bad it's good. They made a documentary of it for worst.
I love
worst
that
movie. Troll
But yeah.
2 is amazing. Yeah. I'm friends with one of the actors, the guy who yells, "Oh my God." He's been on this show where we discussed why we enjoy bad movies.
What's his name? Have I been with him too, or
No, his name is Darren Ewing. He's only been on that one episode.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so that's the worst one.
Smelling sweet, man. My harvest came in great. How about you, man? Did you get some cream corn?
Nope.
Oh man, you didn't get any corn to celebrate?
I got none.
God, that's all I gave my kids for dinner tonight. They were pissed.
I bet. All right. Well, anyway, so that was your worst, Children of the Corn Genesis from 2011. What would you say is slightly better than that one?
The rest of these are all better and watchable. So if I have some fans out there that are probably about to get angry, and I'll explain myself, but the next one on my list as the worst one is Part 6. It's called Children of the Corn, The Return of Isaac, 666.
For every season, there is a time for friendship.
Maybe I want you to stick around.
A time for love.
Don't be scared. We were destined.
And a time for terror. Isaac is back.
Now is the day of salvation.
To fulfill the final prophecy.
Finish it.
Don't be afraid.
It's your soul that's gonna burn in hell.
I don't have a soul.
And it's one of the more popular ones, and that's because they brought back Isaac.
Yeah. Well, not only that, apparently Stacy Keach is in this movie.
Oh yeah, they had a great cast. When this movie came out, I was super excited. I was excited for Isaac coming back. I was excited for Stacy Keith, who I remember him first from Body Bags. He played the guy with the hair that turned into worms. Yeah. And then Nancy Allen from the RoboCop movies. She plays the and then of course John Franklin came back 19 years later to reprise his role as Isaac. And there were a lot of Children of the Corn fans that missed 4 and 5, but when word hit the street that Isaac was coming back for Part 6, it kind of became a big deal. And I believe it was its watch time was way high. More people saw it than the two before.
I might have actually seen it. I don't recall. I think I might have seen this, but I don't remember. I have no memory of it.
It's so, man, they just, if you watch it, it makes no sense. They So Isaac didn't die in the first one. He was, he had been power hungry and got all of He Who Walks Behind the Rose ability, and the movie just kind of ends with him like that.
It's like a zombie kind of.
Right, he looks like a zombie at the end. Well, they explain it in this film that He Who Walks Behind the Rose, excuse me, I promise I'm okay, put him to sleep for 19 years on purpose, woke him up 19 years later to have him put his child up as the new prophet. And Isaac got greedy with it. And, well, here's the first thing that's confusing about it. This demon specifically lingers around children. It has to. That's how it manifests itself, through the children who eat its corn, and then it manipulates and lies them to get them to do things. The adults may have supernatural experiences, but ultimately they're not on a journey of a false prophet. They actually believe this to be a Jesus Christ, and its book follows the Bible, but just in a demonic way. He needs them to kill their parents. So he would never give a full-grown man authority to run the show for him. So I found it extremely confusing that this demon who needs a child would decide to hold on to one until they're well beyond an adult, and then wake them up to have them finish what they started. It was just confusing. And then ultimately, He Who Walks Behind the Rose gave his abilities to someone else and kills Isaac. So,
and not only that, apparently he has a kid.
yeah, he has a kid too. So, and that's what the demon was mad at Isaac, because Isaac was getting greedy and wanted to give it to his child for selfish reasons. Now, the demon, the deity, that doesn't work that way. You can't want it for selfish reasons. You get it because he is allowing you to have it.
Right.
If you're just drenched in power, he's going to give it to someone else. He also lowers the age limit. Every time this demon is ignored, he lowers the age limit to who can be a part of his disciples. And in the first movie, it starts off at 19. By the time you get to part 6, it's 17. And he even lowers the age in the first one. He lowers it from 19 to 18. Say now anyone older than 18 gets sacrificed to my.
He wasn't getting enough people, so he had to,
He wasn't. There's just no excitement, man. I mean, they did do some cool work with the monochromatic color schemes in this film. So everything had like a hue and a tint of green, which gave it like an eerie kind of sense. But there's no like serious supernatural stuff until you get to the end. And He Who Walks Behind the Rose kills Isaac and, gives his ability to this guy, turns on Isaac, kills him, and then it's up to this woman to fight a floating god in the air. And he says it so weirdly. He goes, you want to know who's He Who Walks Behind the Rose? And she's like, lay it on me. And he goes, me, and starts floating in the air. And just, oh God.
We might have to cover this movie because, you said this sounds fun.
Yeah, I really had high hopes, and it had a good cast, and all of them actually do have a really great, have a good cast, and just the storyline dropped the ball on 666, and because my expectations were up here, it ultimately landed the movie way down here because it did nothing to deliver anything that was what the fans had hoped for, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Obviously, someone can drop in the comments and say, hey, you know what? 666 is the best one, and I'll fight you to the grave. You don't have to fight me, but give me your opinion. I'd love to hear why you think it's the best. Oh, and I definitely want to hear from someone who says Genesis is the best.
You might not.
If it's your favorite, please tell me. Tell me in full detail in the comments below why. I got to know.
And if you do, we'll have you on the episode.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'll shout out to the next person we do this to. The last person to drop a comment, they'll get a shout out from me directly.
There you go. All right. So that's that one. 666, The Return of Isaac. So are we starting to get into like movies that you like, or are they still bad at this point?
So the next one, I actually like it.
Okay.
It's called Revelation. Oh, and if anyone wants to see my original DVD, look, Children of the Corn 5, 666, Revelations on there. I always love the names too. Urban Harvest, or I think one's called Final Sacrifice. That was part 2.
It's a little bit better than the Howling.
It is, yeah, it is. They do have more creative names, all kind of corn related, obviously.
She's dead. Probably not gone.
The next one, Revelations, is great if you don't want to really think about it too much as it being a Children of the Corn type movie. There's, all the ones before 6 are all stories where children have ultimately killed off the entire town, and there's a bunch of crazy kids. Well, this one takes place far in the future. A woman goes to visit her grandmother who lives in an apartment complex next to a cornfield, and gets there, and there's an eviction notice on there. Her grandmother's gone, and the same 2 spirits of Children of the Corn Pass, spirits just appear and taunt her through the entire film. The children are creepy, and when they start manipulating people to commit suicide, it gets a bit interesting from there. And then it has one of my favorite stuff about these films is how ridiculous it gets. So if it has anything crazy, like literal corn coming to life and strangling people, I call that is classic Children of the Corn stuff that I like to see. Because even in the first one, there's that kind of stuff, but by the third one, it gets so ridiculous. A woman in this one gets strangled by just ropes of corn that come to life, and like vines go up through the window, and she's in the bathroom butt naked. So there's that too. If you're just someone trying to score a boob, well, yeah, you get to see a full-grown naked woman get strangled like a bunch of constrictors, but ears of corn, which I thought was fun.
Which happens at the end of the first movie.
Oh yeah, no, it happens quite often. People, the corn off in people happens a bunch, and I love that. It added that to it. There was none of that in 666 or Genesis. They were lacking the fun of this ridiculous demon that hoards and wields the power of literal corn.
Right. Okay. Cool. What's next? What's
the next one on my list? Is Children of the Corn Part 5. Came out in 1998. It's called Fields of Terror.
Supposed to be a fun road trip.
Where are we?
You're on private property. Town's about a mile that way.
Now, they're stranded in a desolate town.
You people look a little lost.
Is there a tow truck service?
Nope.
We're also looking for some friends in a convertible.
We don't get a whole lot of tourists in here.
They've been told to leave.
I want you on that 8 a.m. bus out of here. You got it? Hey! Now what?
But someone doesn't want them to go.
No!
And for them to stay alive, they must discover the secret of this town's dark mystery and look evil in the face.
I warn you, Sheriff.
Children of the Corn 5.
And this one is fun for you, nostalgic and so bad it's good. You will like this one because Part 5 has Kane Hodder in it. So if you're a Jason fan,
yes,
you get to see him in there. It stars Eva Mendes also. She was in the Ghost Rider movies. I can't remember what else she was in, but anyway, you know, there were a lot of actors in the 90s, even the females. She could have been one of the Scream Queens. Jennifer Aniston in the first Leprechaun. Scream Queens from the 90s. So this one was great. It was a slow burn. Its major flaw was the kid who plays Ezekiel. Every movie has its Isaac, by the way, this one being Ezekiel. The kid who plays Ezekiel, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was absolutely horrible. I could have done without him. And a lot of the movies, your Isaacs are pretty terrifying and like, you will do what he who hides behind the rose says. Bow down. He was like literally like, you better listen to the man in the woods. I mean, the man in the corn. It's serious. You could not take him seriously. It was
I have
horrible.
heard this before.
But anytime he wasn't in it, it was great. There was heads exploding. The story's the same, by the way. Eva Mendes, she's with her group of friends. Their car breaks down in Nebraska, and they're, you know, headed towards Gatlin. And of course, they get there, and the town is run over by kids. Where are the parents? What have you? And one by one, her and her friends are slowly getting killed off until there's an ultimate showdown between Ezekiel, who gets the powers of the demon, and a final standing, you know, Scream Girl actress.
Right.
Not Eva, though. She throws herself off a haystack and kills herself.
Oh, sweet.
Poor Eva. Have you seen any of this one?
No.
No? But I love it because of the nostalgic fun that it brings. Not often do you get to see Kane outside of a hockey mask. And so anytime he, you know, pops up somewhere in any other movies, I get excited to see. He's a big dude, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. What's next? Now we're
moving down to number 6 on our list.
666.
No, 6 is
Return of
Runaway
Isaac.
from 2018.
Right. Runaway.
Right. 666. Oh, that's right. See, I failed. I failed you. Guess I should eat some more corn. Oh, well, no, not happening. Oh shit. All right. Hey, editor, just go ahead and cut that out. This corn is raw. It's not like the movie. So many people in the movie pulled a stalk of corn off and just ate it. Was like, this is delicious. Doesn't work like that. I just found out.
That looks like.
Really all right. So bad. Runaway 2018. This one was a lot of fun. It was awkward as hell. The storyline goes as this: a woman and her son have been on the run for 10 years. You don't find out till later that she's been on the run because she is one of the last surviving children from the children that committed these, you know, horrible things. She's been on the run for a decade with her son that she had with Malachi or Isaac, one of the two. And anyway, she can't run from her past because she's bearing the child of another, disciple. She's been being chased by the deity this entire time, and she makes a pit stop in a town when she's finally out of money, and they can't run any farther, and they don't even have money for a phone call. She can't even use a payphone or anything. So this man takes her in. He runs a shop to fix cars, so a mechanic, and he lets her stay the night there one night, and in the night she fixed all the cars for free. And now he felt guilty because he was trying to kick her out. He said, you can stay, and eventually gave her a job. Everything was going great. Then she wanted her son to join the school, and things started getting really strange from there. It had a lot of visual art, I should say first. Anytime she had a premonition or a dream, time stood still, and it was a bunch of children murdering parents, and it was art of just where their throats are slit, kids using sickles, and blood just spraying out of everyone's throats, and her just like time standing still, just walking through looking at this massacre. And that happened several times, and visually it was extremely appealing. And look, whatever they did, the blood just looked, they did something to it. They messed with the pixels and did some kind of stuff with it. It just made it look like blood crystals. It looked awesome. But anyway, things get awkward. She wants her kid to go there to the school, local school, and the principal's like, we don't want your kind around here since you're banging a colored guy. Because, yeah, the guy who owns the shop, he's a black man. So it's like old school racism going on. And she's not even sleeping with the guy. But then that very night she goes home, can't get her kid in school, and decides she does want to sleep with him. Well, he has a bum leg. And while they were trying to sleep with each other, every position they got in, he had to keep stopping because his bum leg, he was like, ow, oh, my leg. So then they tried doggy style, and he'd be like, oh, shit, my leg. And then they tried missionary, and she was like, oh, shit, my leg. And they're just constantly flipping around. And while they were doing this whole uncomfortable attempt at sex, she looks over, and her son was just standing there watching them. And it gets awkward. She shoves him off of him, like, get off of me, damn it. And he sends her son up to the room and gets pissed off at her that she won't continue to go through with the intercourse. So, because now he's angry, she has to throw him out. And she just keeps going to work. And things are like so fucking awkward at her job, man. She goes there, she can't even make eye contact with him. And he's like, you're going to work here? Least you can do is look at me in my fucking eye. And she's like, are you sure you want me to look in your eye? You're just mad because I won't suck your dick type of shit. I'm like, God, this is so fucking awkward. Like, I mean, things are awkward. She can't get her kid into school because people are shunning on her for having anything to do with the colored person, And then they have this weird attempt at sex in front of her own son. Oh, God. It's just so... It's so weird, and there is no giant corn furnace. Like an apparition of her past self is killing people one by one until ultimately it has a bad ending, which you said you like, and I do like too. The son she had, he has this whole time has had he who walks behind the rose within him, and he fucking kills his own mom at the end.
Sweet.
All this time she thought she was saving her child from this demon. He was the demon.
Oh man, that did not work out for her.
It's awesome, dude. She she's finally like, we can get out of here, and she turns around to hug her son, and he fucking throws a kitchen knife up under her throat, and it blasts out her mouth, and just blood's pouring down, and it ends with her literally just walking off through a cornfield, just blood pouring off down her face. It's fucked up, and the son is like, yeah, and then he's running a church. So like 12 years old, running a church, with all the children.
Like Isaac.
Yeah, exactly like Isaac. And it leaves, that's the last one that came out. So it leaves with, on a cliffhanger.
Okay, cool. So, all right, so we're now halfway through, and sounds like they're starting to get pretty good. What do you have for middle of the road, number 5?
So, the middle of the road, part 5.
From the world of Stephen King comes the darkest mystery of the year.
You and I both know there's nothing to be afraid of, right?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Of an evil set upon a small Midwestern town.
Grace, I'm hot.
It did something to you. The fever.
And a young medical student who must solve its mysteries.
Whatever happened to my boy is going to happen to him.
Now, the secret of the force behind the terror will be revealed.
I've come for the children.
Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering.
Which also, they all take place in Nebraska, somewhere near Gayton, either in Gayton or near it.
Okay.
In Nebraska. And this one has no narrative connection to the ones before whatsoever. It has Naomi Watts in it. I'm sorry. All right, hold on. We'll have to do a. Give me a minute. I'm looking at my list. Did I say part 4?
No, you said.
Okay. I'm sorry. I meant to say part 4. 1996 is called The Gathering. Have your editor deal with that.
Oh, you know what? that was probably my bad when I typed that in. That's supposed to be a 4.
I see. Yeah. So number 5 on our list is part 4. It's called The Gathering, and
fixed it.
Part 4. Yeah, part 4 does have Naomi Watts in it. If she's most popular for doing The Ring in 2001, but this movie was brutal, man.
Mulholland Drive, my friend.
It's shock factor. It's shock factor alone. A kid chops off his own mom's head, runs off into a field, and then comes out and throws it at the sheriff, and then just disappears into the cornfield. And I just thought that one scene alone was extremely fucked up. So there's just a lot of that. You're seeing the whole town getting killed off one by one. Each child is killing their own parents slowly throughout the movie. Naomi Watts has been taking blood samples on one of the children and has realized that something, because she's a nurse, and has realized that all of their blood has shown that it has dead red blood cells in there. All the blood is coagulating. So these children are like zombies, essentially. And that's the whole premise to the whole thing. She's trying to figure out what's going on with the children's blood, while at the same time, one by one, parents are being killed, and she doesn't even realize it until several parents have been killed off of this small town, and until she realizes she's pretty much the only person still alive as an adult. And it becomes an ultimate throwdown between her and the god, and the ending scene is awesome. If you've seen Gremlins, when the gremlin is getting killed at the end from copious amounts of water, too much, and it's melting, this thing is screaming in terror as it's melting, and then she like blows its head off with a shotgun, and just blood and guts. It's more drawn out than what I just told you, but that's the plot in a nutshell, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of gruesome deaths, and yeah. I don't really have anything else to say about it, but definitely up there on the list.
Number 4, The Gathering. All right.
The Gathering, 1996.
Cool. And so what is better than that?
That would be, some people might get mad at me for this, but it's just the way of things. That would be part 2 that came out in 1992. It's called The Final Sacrifice.
We have just witnessed a terrible tragedy.
It all began here.
We are one.
In these fields.
We are one.
With the children of the corn.
We are one.
What happened is over, Mrs. Burke. It's over.
We are one.
Well, a bunch of kids killed all the adults in town. Just your basic Sunday afternoon in the Bible Belt.
But the adult's nightmare isn't over yet.
People are actually worried about problems with our sweet, innocent children.
There's something out there. There's something. It's evil. It's gotten a hold of our children.
Did you see what happened? The blood was for the corn.
Based on the shocking short story from Master of Horror Stephen King.
Have you ever seen evil? It works through the children.
This is Children of the Corn 2.
He who walks behind the rows commands that we rid the land of all that defileth the corn.
I don't want you hanging around with these kids around here.
They were adults. We have seen the way of that world, and it is evil. There is a power greater than all, and it is within us. She warned you. She warned all of you. The blood of those that defileth the corn must flow into the earth. We are one. We are one. We are one. Did you really think that he who walks behind the rows would allow you to escape? She is the first to be sacrificed.
Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice.
It's fun to play at night.
I rewatched it again, not last night, but the night before. I've been watching nothing but corn movies for days, and I own most of them. And
That's corny.
I didn't like it. The way that they tried to explain off in part 2 that the corn had a fungus growing off of it, and it was causing the children. It was a type of fungus that causes hallucinations and hysteria and, things like that. Well, that doesn't make any sense because no one's hallucinating in any of these movies. The demon is real and screwed up shit are happening. There's,
So what they're saying in this one is that the demon is not real and they're all just tripping.
The demon is a real thing, but they try to pass it off that it's spreading through via a fungus, and that the kids are hallucinating. So they're contradicting themselves. They're saying that it's a fungus, but the kids aren't hallucinating. No one's hallucinating anything. When the corn comes to life and starts dude, a girl gets corn up the cob up her snatch in this one. All right, it's not a hallucination. It's just there's dead bodies everywhere in this one. But the movie does have a very dark opening that is very chilling to me because it was the first one I ever saw when I was a child, and it was at a friend's house. And its opening scene is scary enough to where it's more on the horror side than whereas the rest of them are more playfully fun with what this demon can do. So part 2 just opens up with sheriffs going down into it's like a basement of all the parents, and the camera's panning over just dozens and dozens of dead bodies, and the dead bodies, the artwork on them was so great. That was an imprint that stayed in my head throughout my entire life. I never forgot that scene, and that scene alone I found scarier than the entire film. Mostly because they tried everything got convoluted with this whole fungus thing, and I think that's why they removed it. It being a fungus never came back after that again, and it wouldn't explain that way. Yeah, if the kids eat the corn, it does infect them, but that's because the demon has set it up that way. It rules. Its haven is corn, and it's in Nebraska because apparently that's where the majority of cornfields is. So it lingers around Gayton, Nebraska, but it can appear in any cornfield anywhere in the world.
Okay.
But yeah, because things started getting confusing around there, I didn't like it. I did love Malachi's voice in that one. Anytime he was speaking to the kids, his voice would change, and he would just, I have spoken to he who hides behind the rose, and he told me we are one. Just, I loved whatever thing that they did to alter his voice on that one. It was awesome. So when he's speaking to the kids, I was like, yeah, demon, eat my corn. It's always corn. And by the way, the demon's name is he who walks behind the rose.
Oh, yeah.
I think I already said that. Yeah. But yeah, besides that, the movie was a bit confusing. Storyline wasn't as great. Now, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying that it's, not as good as the ones I'm bringing up in front of this, which is also just an opinion. Right. Like I said, I'm still waiting on you, Genesis guy, because this will be like a live chat. So tell me, you Genesis people, pop up in my chat. Let's see.
All right, for real. All right, so now that leaves us to 3 left. Your top 3 Children of the Corn films. What do you have for number 3?
All right, and excuse me 1 second. I'm sorry. This thing came unplugged. My phone's about to die. Your editor will have to just snippy that out too.
There's no
or I can do it.
There is no editing. We this is all we get. Maybe, I don't know. I'll make a request, but it might not get fulfilled.
All right. You know what I noticed?
What's
I haven't had a sip of my pomegranate blue burst Mountain Dew Extreme in quite some time. Delicious. All right, next one on our list. Number 3, the 2009 prequel.
The next town is Gatlin. It's about 10 miles.
Stoplight's dead.
Something's happening this town.
There's something wrong here. I can feel it. Felt like somebody was watching me.
Maybe someone was.
We gotta get out of here!
Time of judgment is now at hand.
What do you want?
Come to give you peace.
Why?
And just to be clear, it's a prequel, but it's closer to the book. It takes place in 1975, which is where the short story starts. And it's a couple, and they are on the road. A lot of these are a couple on the road. And they accidentally hit a child that has a slit throat that was already slit, and they are forced to go to this town where they get into this town. And oh man, what I love, this movie is so good, just like the first one, but I actually enjoy this one more. You get so tired of children, picking off adults. You're like, man, when is one of these adults just going to be like, put their foot down and be like, fucking little kid, get over here, give me that sickle, like, get out of here, you fucking shit, and that happens in this one. They're the only adults. They take this kid back to Gatlin, and just, of course, where this town has been empty for who knows how long.
Right.
With these demonic kids who have been living amongst themselves without parents, and when someone turns 18, they kill them and give them to the demon. And they get there, and yeah, it's chaotic with kids trying to murder them. And what I loved in this one is that finally, once they got a hold of his wife, that's when he fucking had it. He starts kicking kids' asses. He didn't care anymore. Grabbing kids' face and get your ass on the fucking 10-year-old. Get your ass in school. What is this madness? So it's really good. But like, if you've seen the first one, they're almost identical except for the way that the child is injured and the time of place. The first one does take place in the 80s. This one takes place in 1975, like it's supposed to. But yes, really good. I don't want to get too much into it because when we start talking about the first one, it's going to be like identical storylines. Yeah. Just this one's up to date. So if you're a really big fan of the first one, watch the remake. It did it justice. It's the only movie where I feel it was a solid remake, even though it's considered a prequel. It won't let the fans down as far as that goes. If you're a fan more of the first one, because this franchise does have a fan where like 3 through 6 are like the awesome, part of the whole franchise because they become ridiculous at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sweet. So, yeah, that's it. Children of the Corn 2009 remake as your number 3. What is the second best Children of the Corn?
All right.
Your number 2.
Number 2, the runner-up came out in 1995, and it's called Urban Harvest. All right.
Watch over this as you're watching over me.
William and Amanda, meet your new boys.
Just thought I'd bring a taste of home.
I offer this to he who walks behind the ropes.
Oh, that's just an old abandoned factory, but it's not really safe. That's why we built this fence in front of the wall.
Don't I get a kiss?
You know I know. Where did you get this? Feel the texture. It's tough, almost like fabric, but it's not porous. It's almost impossible to penetrate. A strain with immunity to bugs and pesticide, and a 4-week period from planting to harvest, regardless. You're holding a fortune in your hands, Charles. You know, this strain could be exported to people all over the world. I need thy help now to end this madness. Who the hell are you?
You knew who I was from the moment you laid eyes on me.
These all the creatures passed through 19th here. They are.
What happened to my father? Back in Gatlin, what did you do to him?
Does anyone have any questions?
I didn't think so.
Bless my Lord Ashes!
What the hell's happening?
Let the harvest begin.
Man, and I love this one. It was a hard decision. I almost wanted to put this one up as first because I'm one of the fans of the ones that came out in the 90s. So when this one came out, it was like every year a Children of the Corn movie was coming out. And the storyline is a bit different. Oh my God, the corn scenes in this movie are so crazy. The child's name is Eli, and he is one of the children from, the Children of the Corn that happened in Gatlin, Nebraska. Their parents are dead. Surprise! They get adopted and taken into an urban neighborhood, so a nice area. They're not out in the sticks anymore. And Eli has brought corn with him. And he starts planting it in an abandoned warehouse in the neighborhood and growing it inside the warehouse and starts growing his colony of believers throughout it. But what makes this movie so insane is this is where they start getting ridiculous with the corn, where corn actually becomes the thing you should be scared of because it's killing people throughout the film. Corn via flying through the air and shooting into someone's chest. I mean, he's literally in his warehouse, just corn and stalks of corn are just bursting out of the ground and just every ridiculous thing you could think of, totally 90s written all over it. And what makes this movie even more ridiculous, at the end of it, he has farmed it and started selling it overseas. So when you see the movie, you think part 4, it's now, spread across the world, but they got away from that. But if you want to see stupid shit, and by the way, you get to see the actual deity, the demon, at the end, which shows itself as a giant, a cross between the female alien from Aliens, and a cross between an ear of corn. It's so weird. She even has a belly coming out of her that's like stalks of corn and baby demons going down, and she's 20 feet tall and a bunch of noodles, and she's like, Noodle City, and starts killing all the kids that have been worshiping her, and Eli's like, ha ha ha, and I'm like, is there any control of this madness? Are we supposed to only kill the parents when all the children are getting destroyed? So many effects with animatronics too, which I love. This one kid, an ear of corn goes underneath each head and rips his head off until it's just a head with a dangling spine, and it's just in the corn. Just you see his eyeballs rolling around. So ridiculous the ways people get killed in this one by corn, and also this one has, like I said, no narrative connection to the other one. They just went completely absurd with the corn. People are running from ears of corn in this one. That's what starts this whole corn being like the actual enemy instead of the demon, can manifest whatever it wants. It can bring inanimate objects to life of all kinds. But the fact that it chooses specifically only corn in like 3, 4, and 5, I found hilarious. Down with the ear corn, right up the cooch, or one through the ear. You see this one for the ridiculousness, and the actor that plays Eli did a great job. They altered his voice a bunch. He sells it on the creepy child thing. Because why are we watching these movies? They're essentially what? They're all just creepy kid, killer movies, and we don't have very many of those. People who watch Children of the Corn have probably also seen Village of the Damned or The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. Killer kid movies.
All right, cool. Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. But yeah. So we can move on to there, and one that you've actually seen too. So why don't you tell us? Because it's no surprise at this point. We're down to number 1.
Children of the Corn Part 17.
Right.
The best one, the first one, of course, the original Children of the Corn from 1984.
Every child is afraid of the dark, the unknown, the nightmare. In Gatlin, Nebraska, that nightmare is in the corn. Stephen King's Children of the Corn.
Praise God! Praise the Lord!
From Stephen King, the author of Carrie, The Shining, The Dead Zone, and Christine, an adult nightmare. Children of the Corn.
I'm here, Lord! I'm ready!
Stephen King's Children of the Corn, an adult nightmare.
This is the one that started it all. It's creepy. It's pretty fun. It's cool. I like how it's just like it shows all these just crazy religious nuts in this cult, and it shows the dangers of that. But they're all children, right? So it's just like it's extra creepy that way, and it's like, wow, this is terrifying, kind of. And then even grown adults are like being just, they can't even fight their way through. Hey, Linda Hamilton is in it, and this is right before Terminator. Yeah, right before Terminator, but she did not put up a fight at all. She was very, very helpless.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, it kind of was up to the husband in this one.
Yeah, but that's 1984 for you, I guess. But no, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so why would you say that this is the best one out of all of them?
Well, this one's the most popular, and it started a huge fight afterwards, which is a whole other story between Dimension and Miramax. It was ridiculous. There was like 10 pages of shit that I was reading about this battle that they had going on. Yeah. But the first one is the original, and its storyline is more appealing than the rest, where, kind of a lot of your franchises taper away from the storyline and just kind of start becoming their own thing. This one obviously is going to be more true to the book because it's based off that, the short story. And I love that a couple who, by the way, they don't go there willingly. They just can't escape it. They're driving through Nebraska, and no matter what turn they take leads them to Gatlin.
That's in the movie.
Right. It's just it's no matter what, they just keep going there, and so, which is cool. That's scary in itself. And
you can't escape.
You get there and you see it's an apocalypse has happened. There's freaking corn stalks all over the road because corn is crazy like that. There's no parents in sight and giggling children hiding in buildings. It's creepy as hell. You know, and the guy who played Isaac, the original Isaac, you know, who came back for part 6. Oh man, I think his phrase at the end of the movie where he was like, "He wants you to, Malachi. He wants you to." I found that with like synonymous with like the end of Child's Play Part 1, where Chucky is like, "But you said we were friends till the end." Like it just, I love that ending quote. It gets me every time that when Isaac says that. I love that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would I rather deal with zombies or a bunch of crazy kids? Probably the kids. Yeah, I'd rather deal with kids with sickles. Yeah. Just do what the guy has. Remember at the end when he's just pissed off and he's had it and he just starts smacking sickles out of their hands and shit and, you know, knocking over little kids. And, get my wife down from there, fucking kid.
Yeah, especially Malachi. He just beats Malachi's ass. That's great. So everybody check out Children of the Corn. Hit us up in the comments. What's your favorite? Is Dustin full of shit? Let us know.
Yeah.
So let's go backwards. So your favorite one is Children of the Corn, the original from 1984. Your second best is Part 3, Urban Harvest, 1995. The third best one that you like is the remake, which is interesting. A lot of people probably don't like remakes. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I can't say it, but I would say that might be controversial. Next, then you like Children of the Corn 2, Final Sacrifice. Then from there, middle of the road, you're at Part 4, The Gathering from 1996, and then Runaway from 2018. It's crazy that they're still making these movies. Like this was just like a few years ago. Then the shitty ones start coming in. The ones you don't like as much, like Part 5, Fields of Terror, and then from that, what's worse than that? Revelation 2001, and you just absolutely hated 666 Isaac's Return.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I did use it. For some of you who did join the franchise once 666 came out, because there was that. Hey, you can come in the comments and say, you know what? I hate you, Dustin. Fuck you.
Please do that. and then the worst one of all time, the worst Children of the Corn movie that's ever been made, Children of the Corn Genesis 2011. It doesn't even have a number. It's just Genesis.
Nope, and it's definitely no Sega.
Nice. All right, well, thanks for coming on here and sharing with us your list of all the Children of the Corn. Where's the best?
Dude, I had a blast, man, like always, and I enjoyed wandering through the cornfield, creeping myself out, and collecting raw, unedible corn for this project. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for putting your body in harm's way for the show that probably only 2 people are going to watch.
Yeah, I like that better. I put my life on the line.
People are going to be us, probably.
I put myself in a compromising position for this corn.
Hell yeah. Nice. All right. Well, so next week we will be returning back to the reviews, and we're going to hit one of my favorite directors of all time, Robert Rodriguez from Dusk Till Dawn. And because he's got a bunch of great horror movies himself, and then that'll lead us into what I'm going to call Grindvember, which the entire month of November will be Grindhouse movies, new and old. So yeah, be sure to check that out. And yeah, check out if you want to see more Dustin, look at his YouTube channel, Your Tap Water is Crap. And yeah, so that'll do it for us. Again, Dustin, thanks for joining. And yeah, so I'll like that corn. I'll dig you now, I'll plant you now, and I'll dig you later. All right, take it easy, everybody.
Catch you next time, bud.